Hey, everybody. Interesting chat today. As we know, infrastructure automation has been overlooked, and managing infrastructure in the past has been often a nightmare. Really intrigued to have a company changing that. Damian from OpsMill, how are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. Really interesting topic for us IT and tech geeks. So maybe introduce yourself if you would, and what's the big idea behind OpsMill, and what does infrastructure automation really mean?
Oh yeah, it's a large topic. So let me talk about myself. So Damian, I'm CEO and co-founder of OpsMill. I've been working all my life in infrastructure. I actually started at network engineers building infrastructure, and about 15 years ago, I really shifted more into like focusing on automation as my primary focus. I've been in different role. Right now, I live in Europe, but the last 10, 12 years, I was actually in the US. So I got a chance to work in multiple company. Um, I had the opportunity to be one of the first member of the infrastructure automation team at the Roblox at the time when the company was really deploying a lot of infrastructure. So we built a lot of things
Mm.
that was very exciting. And then after that, I wanted to see how we could take that, not just one company, but more companies. So I joined a consulting company called Network to Code. They're really leaders in this space in the US, and we had a lot of Fortune 500 company actually coming to us and really asking us like, hey, we need to automate our infrastructure. We don't know how to do that. Can you help us? And my role was to work with them and look at from the technical standpoint, processes, people, do a full analysis and help them define a plan on how we would be able to solve that. Um, and that's really where the idea of OpsMill started. Like it was very obvious that all of them were really struggling to get started. It required a lot of skills and very expensive like staff to be able to do that. Like most company, even big Fortune 500, they're probably not in positions to hire those type of skills.
Mm.
And and then at the end, it was also a lot of professional services. Like we were just throwing professional services at those problems, and you feel like everyone was rebuilding the same things over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, great challenge and mission. And why is that? Why do so many teams struggle with automation in this space? And what's working and what's not working, and best practices today when it comes to automation?
Yeah. Um, to sum it up, I think is there's in most cases you don't have an automation problem, you have a data problem. And I think some people were using that recently about AI as well. It's like you don't have an AI problem, it's all about the data and the quality of the data that you're able to use to then drive all of your automations in your workflow. And what's happening today is, and if you look at it, it's actually not specific to infrastructure. In the world of sales, then we had the CRMs that came in, and then CRMs like Salesforce, they're primarily a data management solution. And then on top of it, there's a lot of automations and processes that can come and integrate and make it a full, sales platforms. But it starts with the data. SAP is the same. SAP is at its core, it's a database, it's data management solutions that were able to automate the industrial processes. And in infrastructure management, we don't have such data management platform today. We're in a position like because people have a lot of skills, they've been either building it on their own, and like everybody, what we're seeing is like the most advanced organization today, they've been pretty much building their own database, and then they build the applications on top of it to consume that. And then they end up having a team of 3, 4, 5, 10 software engineers in-house just managing that system. And what was started as a very powerful project that helped them get started then become their bottleneck. And we're seeing that over and over again. And the other thing is a lot of company now they've been using DevOps, and I guess DevOps is not the right definition, but what we would define as infrastructure as code or GitHubs to manage your infrastructure. And what really came out of those techniques, very interesting, I think, has been the concept that we will be able to prepare change in isolated environments using version control. It's been something very fundamental to infrastructure management in the last few years. But same, like people have been using a tool called Git. I don't know how much everyone is probably not
Mhm.
aware of that, but it's this system that is very powerful to collaborate on text files. And it works really, really well. It has this ability to have isolated environments, but people have been using it as a database to actually store their data because they wanted to have the same concept. And we've been missing a tool that is really designed to have a proper data management solution and that provide also those concepts of version control. And that's what we're building at OpsMill.
Brilliant. So, how do you actually make automation more manageable, usable, user friendly, even for those engineers, and even fix problems, not just react to problems?
That's the journey. I think I wouldn't sell that anyone can go from zero to what you describe in a few months. But our strategy or vision at UpsMill is also that in a lot of cases, like we need to elevate how we manage the infrastructure. And instead of thinking about all the technical elements, like I have this VPC in AWS, I have this firewall, I have these load balancers, we need to start thinking in terms of services. Like, what do I want to deliver for my customers? And that can be represented with data. And once we have that and we're able to actually have the tool capture the services, then we can derive all the changes that needs to happen on technical elements. And then what has been also a huge game changer in the automation space has been the tools like Terraforms or other automation tools that took this declarative approach as opposed to what we call an imperative approach, where we would usually define like step by step what needs to be done. Tools like Terraform, they let you define what is the end states needs to look like. And that's
Mm,
data. And then those tools, they hide the complexity to actually reach that end state. And that's been a big game changer. And again, it brings back to data because at the end, once this, how do I get there is figured out, then the challenge is how do I organize what should be? What is and again, that's a data management problem then.
fantastic. And from a business standpoint, how do you convince the powers that be, the CIO, the board, the VPs, that there are benefits beyond just tech benefits, another tool, another line item in the budget?
Yeah, I
How do you
think that
how do you show the ROI really for companies?
that's a great question. So I think first, if we look at what we build, so we built this product called InfraHub, which is really a data management platform. But it's always part of a bigger platform that our customers have to build. So first, if I were to talk to a CIO, I would probably explain the benefit of having an automation platform, not just our tool. And the benefit of having an automation platform is, you increase the agility of the team, you reduce the number of human errors, the number of outages. Usually, you're able to react, faster to the business. You're able to control the risk level, go through compliance faster. Like there's a lot of benefits to actually have automations and more compliance across your entire infrastructure. Now, if I talk to the guy that is in charge of implementing that platform, then I will already pitch, why our data management solution is better than the other. And in this case, it's usually, again, is it better to build it yourself? And then there will be multiple building a team, building all the practices around building a pretty complex applications internally, or buying it from us and we will get you 80% of the way there. And then you only have the 20% that are really specific to your business to build. So when we get to those discussions with the actual buyers, it's really a build versus buy discussion. And
Hmm.
most people, the one that are usually in favors of buying are the one that have been building previously. Like usually it takes a painful experience of maintaining those kind of software to realize that it's we all of us technical people we always underestimate the cost of maintaining, the cost of building. Like it's it takes 10% of the efforts to get the first version working, but then there's a huge amount of efforts required to actually maintain that in the long run and really make it production ready.
Yeah, so well said. Hey, care to share any stories or anecdotes, real world examples on where you're making a difference out there with customers.
Yeah, we're working with a really big financial right now. So it's interesting because with the rise of AI, a lot more people actually are putting investing in their infrastructure. We're working in these big financials, and they need to build these massive data centers to build like clusters of GPUs. And so we've been working with them so that they can pretty much define at a high level what their cluster looks like. And at the end, we're able to help them generate the configurations and pretty much having the cabling plans and everything for thousands and thousands of physical devices and pieces of infrastructure that they need to deploy, where this task previously could have taken them like weeks or months. And now they're able to do that in a matter of a few hours, and they can repeat. We have multiple customers like that. Also, we see very similar patterns in retails. Every time you're in retails, you need to deploy sites or do site refresh. That's where it's really having those type of platforms and having a strong focus on data management really helps. So I know a lot of retailers that have be able to really reduce the time to deploy on your site or refresh your site from weeks or months to hours because of that.
Brilliant. And AI, as you know, is all the rage, as you just mentioned. Tons of new infrastructure being deployed, new applications. How do you play into that marketplace, and what are you seeing there? There's a
All
bit of a
this
boom underway.
So for us right now, we know there's first, like, because we store a lot of data, there's a huge potential we haven't even really tapped into like using AIs to make sense of those data, identify outliers, do some analysis, and identify what's outside of the standard patterns. We are that's one that we actually are looking at, but it's not the highest priority right now. What we're really looking at is actually to help customers get started. Like usually, I mentioned building the platform is a huge effort. There's a lot of professional services involved, and it's also because there's a lot of components that need to come together. If you already have an infrastructure in what we call brownfield, you need to understand what's already there. You need to do retrofit into the existing solution. That's a lot of efforts. And so using AI here is can you really reduce the time that you'll have to spend analyzing this data, integrating the pieces together, re-ingesting, like converting unstructured data into structured data. Like we're seeing huge benefits of building like AI and agent in this space.
I bet. Sounds exciting. And you also recently introduced an open source version of your software, sort of along with your enterprise edition. Big fan of open source, but what does that bring to you and the community?
For us, it's we know that the people that will deploy and install, they want to, we need to remove all the roadblocks for them to actually get to know the technology and the product. So we're really focusing on building a good, strong, open source foundation. I personally always use the example of always been an inspiration for us at the way GitLab does it. I think GitLab is a very popular open source project, and yet a very successful company. For me, it's one of the best examples. They've proven that it's possible to have both. And I really like, they explain actually how they are doing that by being very careful on which features goes in open source, which one goes into the paid versions. And we've been learning a lot from their experience. They've been very generous in sharing how they're
Yeah, it's
doing
a
that.
great model, and Red Hat, many other good examples there. So you're based, headquartered in Paris, but you have lots of people and operations in the US. What's it like straddling both cultures and environments? Any noticeable difference is from your standpoint?
Yeah, we do have a good portion of the team in the US, all across Europe. To be honest, I think at this point I've been in this kind of setup for too long. I don't even know the difference. But every time I speak to friends or family, I realize that it's probably a very different world. I'm sorry, but I think I've been in those kind of yeah mixed cultural setup for too long now to really be have an objective point of view there. But
Yeah, tech
I like
is
it. I think it's very
certainly
exciting.
global, and it's nice that we don't really have borders when it comes to a lot of tech still. So it's nice to see the opportunities out there. What are you excited about for this year as you head into the year, both, product wise, roadmap wise, or events? Where will you be over the next few weeks and months?
Yeah, it's a good question actually. Yeah, we have a few events coming up. We're going to an event in Belgium, like a config management camp coming up. We're also going to be at a networking conference in Atlanta, where we're also going to present. Right now, we are seeing a lot of interests in the networking space. It's
Hmm.
also where a lot of us come from, but mainly because you feel like networking has a lot more data to manage than the other part of the infrastructure. So, while the product can work with cloud and security and networking, we're seeing a lot of interest in networking. So it's been a bit of our focus as well. And we have another big conference specifically around networking automations coming up in May as well at AutoCon. I think the announcement is going to be in Prague. So very excited with that. Future-wise, yeah, this whole industry I feel like is maturing very fast. We're seeing a lot more interest in people actually moving from I'm going to build everything myself to I'm going to use a professional solution and put them together, assemble them together into like really a professionalization also of this space. So I've been in this community for 15 years now, and it's exciting to see. I feel like we're really crossing some important milestone that this last few years, and certainly 2025 looks exciting for that.
Does indeed. Well, infrastructure, this market is changing so fast. It's great to see you at the forefront. Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And thanks for joining and sharing the vision and the mission. And thanks everyone for listening, watching, and sharing. Take care.
Bye.